It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. You can send us your emails at randykabc@gmail.com and give the podcast a follow. Search the KABC News Blitz wherever you happen to podcast. California Attorney General Rob Bonta likes attention. He likes so much attention, he probably enjoys it when we rip on him on this radio station for having buckets full of cliches.
Every type of leadership is about meeting the moment and rising to the occasion, and this is what's required. And so we're stepping up and getting it done.
Rob Bonta has been having a lot of press conferences lately, so the TV cameras are on him looking very, very, very important. This is a man who has aspirations. He hasn't declared yet, but it is widely known that he wants to run for governor. And since he will have a national spotlight in all his fights against the upcoming Trump administration, he's going to be milking it as much as he can. But Rob Bonta doesn't just do press conferences that are focused on national issues. Rob Bonta is your number one consumer advocate, and Rob Bonta is here for you, whether you live in Piedmont or whether you live on Topanga.
In Topanga.
Never going to let that one down. Rob Bonta held a press conference to announce that he was in support of and co-signing a bill that will be going through the California Assembly next year. That's right. We're already talking about next year's bills because the California Assembly never stops. This bill would deal with a major problem in our society. And I'm not even being sarcastic at this point. Social media is a major problem in our society. Social media addiction is a major problem in our society. Social media addiction among teenagers is a massive problem in our society. But what does Rob Bonta have to do with this? What can the California Attorney General do with the fact that we can't stop staring at our phones and refreshing Twitter for no reason whatsoever? It is the worst addiction because you rarely get anything entertaining out of it. Oh, someone liked that picture that I posted of my fish tacos from last night. That's pretty cool. Maybe I go on my Instagram. Oh, someone sent me a message. Hey, how'd you make those fish tacos? I mean, I actually don't mind that. You send pictures, you comment on pictures of my food. I think that's great. But if you notice, that's the only thing I post on social media. I do not give in to the constant blather, the discourse, the fighting, whatever it is. The only thing I will contribute to the ecosphere of social media, whether it's on my Twitter, my Facebook, or my Instagram, I don't have any of the other things, it's food. Sometimes a little travel, occasionally a promotion for the show, like if we're doing a live remote. But for the most part, it's the food. You know why? Because I rarely get trolls talking about food. It does happen sometimes. There have been times where, let's say I posted a couple of pictures from like my recent trip to Santa Fe. And some people are like, wow, that looks good. Hey, what restaurant is that? I got to get my butt to Santa Fe. And then there's always one person that says, boy, you're going to have to walk a lot to get rid of that weight. Why? Why do people do this? I don't understand it. I do not comment on other people's things unless it is something very specific. Like an old radio friend of mine posted a picture of enchiladas in New Mexico, and I said, hey, that looks great. Let me know if you go to Santa Fe. That's about it. Social media is a problem. Social media brings out the worst in us, and a lot of us are guilty of spending way too much time on it. So let's find out what Dr. Bonta is going to do about this big problem. Are you ready? Here was a press conference that I listened to this morning, and now I'm bringing it to you. The News Blitz in full effect, baby.
Over the last decade, social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram and X and TikTok have become an ever-present, nearly inescapable part of our daily lives.
Bonta, are you streaming this on social media right now? Yes, you are.
Living and beeping in our bags and pockets, on our desks. And
you think Bonta's got a TikTok? Is he watching those ASMR videos where the girls get money so they can make brick stack noises? If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't look it up. It's really, really, really weird.
On our computers, seemingly at all hours of the day and night. While social media has many incredible benefits, and it has many incredible benefits from connecting.
I'm still waiting for those. I mean, you know what the real benefit is? Thanks to Facebook, I know when everyone's birthday is, and I can, with zero effort whatsoever, send them a pre-written happy birthday note. That is the one benefit of social media.
From connecting loved ones to giving people an outlet of expression, providing access to critical information, creating jobs in our state. There is no disputing the fact that it can also have an enormously detrimental and dangerous impact on our young people.
Boy, this guy can really command a room. Gavin 2.0? I don't think so.
You cannot debate that. Our children are suffering. Studies have shown that more time on social media tends to be correlated with depression, anxiety, body image issues, susceptibility to addiction.
Now, just to be fair, can't blame everything on social media. I had body image issues growing up, and there wasn't any social media. The internet was in its infancy. Sometimes it's the kids on the playground or your parents bullying you.
Body image issues, susceptibility to addiction, interference with daily life, learning loss. In fact, adolescents who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media.
That number seems low. Even I'm 3 hours a day on social media. I can't believe it. But when I get that report on Sunday, which shows how much time I've spent staring at this phone, I wonder how much of it is just checking the apps blindly to see, oh, there's a notification there. Oh, there's a notification there. It's all a waste. And I got to tell you, I was just in New Mexico for a week and a half. And I spent as little time as possible on social media. I was busy. I was walking around. I was spending time with family. I was babysitting a 2-year-old. There were a lot of things I had to do. And when I had just a second of free time, the last thing I needed to do was hit refresh on Twitter to see what the latest outrage du jour is. Because none of it matters. Because we see it in print on our screen and someone put breaking news in all caps, we think it matters. None of it matters. The best advice I can give to anybody going on vacation is don't look at social media. Take a whole bunch of pictures. Definitely do that. You'll treasure those pictures forever. But don't post any of them until you get back. Do not waste time in an exotic locale live posting about where you are, because nobody really cares except you. And you can do that when you're on the plane going home. Makes everybody's life easier.
Face double the risk of poor mental health, including depression and anxiety. And excessive and problematic social media use has been linked to sleep problems, to attention problems, and feelings of exclusion.
Once again, I got to agree with Dr. Bonta here. Again, I don't know what the point of this press conference is. At some point, we will get to that, I hope. But one thing that I make sure I do is if I'm lying in bed, the phone's right there. The best thing I could do is not look at the phone. I've got my repeat of The Office on the TV. That'll help me fall asleep. Or this time of year, telling you, it works like a charm. Put on one of those really boring Hallmark Christmas movies. There was one we put on the TV. It starred Jodie Sweetin from Full House. I don't think I made it 10 minutes before I passed out. It was great. I mean, I was drinking a little too, but I think the Hallmark movie, it was like drinking sleep tea, giving it straight to the veins. But one thing that I try to make sure that I do is if I've got the phone next to me, I'm not checking social media in bed. If I do use the phone, I'll use it to watch a really boring YouTube video about Pokemon. I'm telling you, works like a charm. Every time I watch one of these videos, I'm exhausted. But I don't check social media because I know what it's like to be looking at your phone. You see a notification, all of a sudden the brain's active again, and you got to go through the whole process of putting your brain down again.
So let's be clear, this isn't theoretical. It's not a study about what might be. This is about real children and teenagers, real families, real impacts on real lives.
All right, we're getting into cliche territory, Bonta.
What's worse is social media companies know all of this and more. These companies know the harmful impact their products can have on our children, and they refuse to take meaningful steps to make them safer.
Well, they're their number one customers.
They know they're addictive. They know they harm children. They know they're not safe, and they refuse to act. They've had ample time.
I mean, they just launched Instagram Teen. I think that's a thing.
They've had ample time to make the right choice. They've had time to address the devastating toll their products are having on our families. Time is up. It's time.
Somebody likes to sound like a badass.
Time is up.
He even tapped the podium for that one.
Time is up. It's time we stepped in and demanded change.
Okay, we have diagnosed the problem. Social media is to blame for a lot of society's ills. Totally on board with that. Social media is a waste of our time, a waste of our brain power, and has given us all the attention span of a 5-year-old who has to look at something new every 15 seconds. Agree with you there. What I want to know, Mr. Rob Bonta, current Attorney General of California, the top cop in California, the top law enforcement official in California, what are you going to do about it? Again, the point of this press conference is not just to talk about how social media sucks. So what is the solution here? What are you going to do about it? Let's find out, shall we?
Assemblymember Bauer-Cann's bill, AB 56, is that change. AB 56, which I've signed on to sponsor, would require social media to come with warning labels.
It does not get more California than saying, well, here's a problem, and the way to fix that problem is with a fancy schmancy warning label. What was it? Was it Prop 63, Prop 66? There's some proposition that made it so you had to see a warning label anywhere for anything that could ever be linked to cancer and cancer-causing chemicals. And there's a cancer-causing chemical called acrylamide. Acrylamide is a chemical that is created anytime you cook anything, whether it's coffee, whether it's food, doesn't matter. So if you go to your Starbucks drive-thru, you go to your McDonald's drive-thru, somewhere on that board in the middle corner, you're going to see California Prop 63 warning. Cancer-causing chemicals can do something bad to you. Has anybody ever paid attention to that? Has anybody ever read it besides me? And has it changed anybody's behavior about what they're doing? Now, that's the most inane, nonsensical warning label that's out there. But we've got warning labels on booze. Pregnant women, don't drink this. We've got warning labels on cigarettes. Hey, this will turn your lungs black. Doesn't stop anybody from doing it. So is this just more California performative politics? I got a lot more sound from Attorney General Rob Bonta. I want him to explain the merits of this bill that would require social media companies to put warning labels on the front of their websites. What I'd like to do right now, though, is hear from you at 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. You are a Californian. This guy is your representative. He was elected to be your top cop. Do you think a warning label notification is going to stop anybody from using social media? Do you think anybody uses social media not aware of how awful it is? What do you think about Rob Bonta's social media warning label? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. We'll get more from Bonta. We'll get more from you. And during the break, I'll probably check my Twitter a couple times. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. California Attorney General Rob Bonta held a press conference talking about how bad and dangerous social media is for you and especially your kids. So what's he going to do about it? He is co-sponsoring a bill that would require a warning label whenever you open Twitter or Facebook or Instagram to tell you how bad it is. And maybe you'll get an update about that about every week. Do you think a warning label for social media would do anything to stop people from using social media? 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. During the break, I got a text from a buddy, Scott Ramsey, who is an audio legend. I have worked with him on a few remotes. He is the best. He told me the proposition where they have warning labels and everything for cancer, it's Prop 65, and they have to put stickers on every microphone and any other audio gear that he sells. And you know what? That many warning labels means they all mean nothing, even the one about cigarettes. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Do you think Rob Bonta's social media warning label will stop anybody from using social media? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's start with Richard in Newport Beach. Richard, hello.
How you doing, Randy? It's good to talk to you. The warning label thing has, like you pointed out, gotten completely out of control, so much so that people are completely desensitized to it. I mean, let's face it, there's probably a half a dozen chemicals that are dangerous that you will interact with, and perhaps they need a label. But they've made it so now nobody cares, nobody pays attention. It's just part of the landscape. You see the sticker everywhere. It's ridiculous.
Oh, you're totally right. Prop 65 is when we jumped the shark with this. It's one thing to have the warning label for cigarettes or alcohol, but anything that could potentially be linked to cancer, everything could be linked to cancer. The oxygen I breathe could be linked to cancer.
Correct. That's my point. If you really want people to change their behavior, then make it a teaching moment. You want to teach kids about some of the bad chemicals, that's fine. That's probably more beneficial than half the stuff they get in school anyway. And social media, same thing. You know, have a pro and con about what social media can do for you. But just putting a label on it, come on, that's typical politicians that are just lazy and wanting to say, hey, look what I did. I put labels and everything. Good for you.
Yeah, it's performative and it means nothing. Richard, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. You know what is a great way to do this without even having any legislation? Encourage parents to monitor what their kids are doing on social media. There's probably some parents out there that don't even let their kids on social media. Good for you. It is the junk food of entertainment. And I'm saying that as somebody that has eaten a lot of junk food in my life. There's very little value out of social media, but we're all addicted to it. But I don't think a warning label is going to stop anybody from using it. What say you? 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. California Attorney General Rob Bonta, man that thinks he's going to run for governor, held a press conference to announce his support for a bill that would require parents and teens, people who live in the state, people who visit the state, anybody who's in the state of California, as soon as they open up Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, I don't know. There's too many of these things. And as soon as you open any of them, there's going to be a pop-up that says, warning, consumption of this social media could be bad for your mental health. Do you think that is going to stop anybody from using it? Or is this the most performative of performative politics with a big splashy announcement that means nothing? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Ray in El Segundo. Ray, hello.
Yes, I don't think it's terribly effective, but there should be a warning on every bit of content coming out of Ron Bonta's office.
Warning, this politician is nothing but a bucket full of cliches.
Dangerous, it all comes from his office.
I think that's great. You know what? On the podium, when they have these press conferences, there should be a warning label. Warning, 90% of what you hear is BS.
Exactly.
Oh, that's fantastic, Ray. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Do you think Rob Bonta's social media warning label will do anything? And you parents out there, do you even let your kids on these apps? Do you monitor it? Do you make sure they don't get on the TikToks? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. You can email us at randykabc@gmail.com and give us a follow wherever you get podcasts by searching for the KABC News Blitz. California Attorney General Rob Bonta, shown here mimicking what a missile sounds like.
This is the guidance.
Is proposing a warning label for social media. Whenever you open up Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or what have you, a little pop-up will say, warning, this product could be bad for your mental health. Now, this has to go through the legislature. Gavin Newsom would have to sign it. I'm sure there'll be pushback from the social media companies. But regardless of if you think social media is good or bad, and I think most people would say ultimately it's bad, but it does some good things. Do you think a warning label will be effective at all in stopping teenagers from using it? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. It's, during the break, my buddy Art, who runs the board on Mondays, he said, do any former smokers, if they quit smoking, was it because of the warning label on that pack of Marlboros? I don't think so. Maybe it was. Who knows? 800-222-KABC. Do you think Rob Bonta's social media warning label will be effective at all in stopping children from using social media? Let's go to Diane in Woodland Hills. Diane, hello.
Hi. I agree. I think that all those warning labels, they just become part of the background noise that we all ignore. But I will tell you one time when it informed me of something or brought my attention to it. You know, when you buy the cheap furniture that comes in 35 pieces, you get a little Allen wrench and you open it up and it smells horrible. And I think, it wasn't the label. I think there was an article I saw that said that horrible smell is actually noxious stuff. So it recommended that instead of putting it together and like putting it in your kid's room and the tiny room where your kid's breathing that, put it outside, put it in the backyard, the carport for a couple of days to let it dissipate. I don't know if it's true, but it made sense. So I did that. I attribute that to the article, though, not to the warning label. So I think putting more time, money, and effort into, like you said, educating people about these things rather than sticking a label that we're all just going to ignore and scoff at, I think that would be much better.
I mean, you take, for instance, when it comes to apps and social media, has any person ever read the terms and conditions when you update your iPhone? I haven't. I don't think I ever would.
You could be signing away your firstborn. You wouldn't know.
You think you make a good point. Thanks for the call. Nobody does. Thank you so much, Diane. Appreciate it. There's a very, very funny episode of South Park. God, this must have been 10 years ago, where nobody reads the terms and conditions for the new iPhone, or I think it's the new update for iTunes. And one of the kids, Kyle, he hits accept. It didn't read the terms and conditions. And one of the terms and conditions he agreed to was to become part of the human centipede. If you don't know that what is, don't look it up. Especially 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Rob Bonta wants to put a warning label on social media. Do you think that will do anything to curb teenagers from being addicted? Currently, some teens spend as much as 5 hours a day, maybe more, on these platforms. Do you think the warning label is going to stop them? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Eric in Orange. Eric, hello.
Hey, Randy. Thanks for taking my call. I got a question on how are they going to track this? Because, look, they're going to have to look at your IP number, right? And it's only going to be legal in California, or part of the law. So does that mean that the California state is going to need to track every single IP address to find out where you're calling in from? It's another way of the government trying to track us all.
You know what? You make a really strong point. I don't ever think they wonder about the how they're going to do this, but the how they would do this would be a massive invasion of privacy, because you're right. They would have to know the location of every single cell phone if they're in California or not.
Of course. And, let alone people have private, virtual private networks, easy to bypass this and obscure where you're calling in from. So I think it's just not even enforceable.
I think you make a really good point, Eric. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Who knew that VPNs now have 3 different very important uses? 1, they can protect your IP address so people aren't spying on you and selling your data. 2, they can make it so you can bypass Rob Bonta's warning label. And 3, the most important reason anybody has a VPN is so you can watch episodes of the new British Love Island before it gets ported to Hulu. I mean, that's what I use mine for. Australia, too. Oh, boy. Australian reality shows, they are fantastic. But most of them never end up over here. So that's why you need the VPN to lie to the internet to tell you that you're in Brisbane so you can watch Australian I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. It is fascinating television. Hey, let's go to Tim in Pasadena. Tim, hello.
Hey, it's a great pleasure to speak with you. The warning labels, I actually can find some value in it only because it made me think twice when I was shopping once at I think it was a Bed Bath & Beyond, and they actually had the Prop 65 warning label in a certain section. And I'll tell you, these glasses were freaking cool, but unfortunately with that warning label, I kind of was hesitant to purchase it only because I wasn't quite sure why it was, that way, whether it was lead or, whatever it was I would be putting in my body. So, yeah, I could see some value if it's true, if that's truly what it is. But if it's just because, it's coming from some other place that we don't want to, have it purchased from, I don't know about that.
Yeah, the thing with the Prop 65 warning is the science of what could be linked to cancer is kind of up in the air. So they use it for everything, and then everybody tunes out all the warnings. Like, it hasn't stopped anybody from ordering coffee.
Exactly. Yeah. Coffee. Oh, my gosh. Sign me up for that one.
There we go, Tim. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. We'll take more of your calls, and more importantly, we'll have Stevie Wonder tickets and more sound from Rob Bonta next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. I just mentioned Australia because I watch a lot of Australian reality TV. Australian Love Island is the best Love Island, and I'll stand by that. Australian went way further than Rob Bonta. This week, Australia banned any kid under 16 from using social media. Now, I don't know how exactly they're going to enforce that. There's a lot of pushback, but if you really believe social media is detrimental to people's health, as Rob Bonta says it is, and as much as I believe it is, maybe you need to go a little further than a warning label. Maybe not. Maybe the parents should be the ones that are responsible for that. But interesting, Australia went all the way. If you're under 16 and you're down under, you ain't going to be looking at Instagram. Hey, look at this. How great is this? 790 KABC has a great gift for you. One of the best. Are you ready? 790 KABC welcomes the man, the myth, the legend. I've seen him live. Stevie Wonder at the Crypto.com Arena on December 14th. That's Saturday. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Golden Voice. Good luck dialing. Get your tickets now to, as Jesse Jackson called him, Stevie the Wonder Man.
We thank God for Stevie the Wonder Man.
That's why I don't delete anything. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's get back to Attorney General Rob Bonta and his reasoning why he needs a warning label for social media.
Assemblymember Bauer-Cahan's bill, AB 56, is that change. AB 56, which I've signed on to sponsor, would require social media to come with warning labels about the mental health risks associated with their platforms. If this legislation is successful, social media companies would have to show all users, regardless of how old they are, a black box warning the first time they log on and once a week after that.
Once a week, warning, continued use of Facebook will give you the SADS and a little FOMO.
Right now, the language we propose for the label is the following. Straightforward.
Warning, continued use of Facebook, especially in groups that are supposed to be at inane things like restaurants in Santa Fe, will contribute to excessive cattiness. Not making this up. The only thing I use Facebook for, outside of telling people happy birthday in the laziest way possible, is I'm a member of two groups in Santa Fe. One reviews a whole bunch of restaurants, and the people in there are catty. They're so rude. This is supposed to be a celebration of food. Even food's controversial on social media.
Straightforward and simple. The Surgeon General has advised that there are ample indicators that social media can have a profound risk of harm to the mental health and well-being of children and adolescents. That's the label.
Yep. Tough talk there from Bonta.
This label won't solve.
Go full Aussie.
This label won't solve everything, but it's critical in raising awareness about the very real public health crisis that we're in.
See, that's the part that irritates me. The raising awareness. Is there anybody who's not aware that this stuff is terrible for us? Is somebody unaware of that?
This is about ensuring all consumers.
And if the kid's unaware of that, that's on the parents.
This is about ensuring all consumers have the same base information about what they're signing on to, regardless of...
I think people, and even in California, where people like Rob Bonta get elected, I would think the vast majority of people who live in this state don't want to be babied, don't need to be talked down to like we're all children and we need Daddy Bonta to save us. Like, we know these things. I mean, this isn't the 1960s, and this isn't, we went from doctors endorsing cigarettes to letting you know, oh yeah, this stuff will cause cancer. We've come a long way from that.
Regardless of how tech savvy they are, regardless of how much they know about this industry and these products, regardless of how much free time they have to research and dig into a complex topic, this label is just like the warnings on cigarette cartons and on alcohol, like nutrition warnings.
Don't forget the warnings we have to do after every gambling ad you ever hear on the radio. Got a problem gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. John Phillips.
It is about information and education, educating young people, parents, care providers, doctors, teachers, and lawmakers. It's about raising public awareness. It's about shining a light on the dangerous reality we've been swiping through.
Oh, somebody in his writing staff is clever.
If this warning label helps any parent better understand the dangers their kids face on social media, if it helps any parent or caregiver talk to their kids about social media use,
he's already justifying how pointless this is. This is California performative politics. You want to go big? You want to be big in big things like Gavin says? If you want to really go after social media, go do what Australia did. They banned it for anyone under 16.
If this warning label makes any teenager or child, or frankly any of us, pause for even a beat to think about what they're logging onto. Think about what they're about to consume. Think about how it may impact their mental health. This warning label will be a success.
I can't wait for this guy to run for governor. Hey, let's go to Phil in Carson. Phil, hello.
Hey, so I was smoking when I was 11. They had warning labels back then. Didn't stop me. Drinking didn't stop me. And today, kids taking fentanyl and all the warnings out for that doesn't stop them. And shouldn't there be a warning label on political speeches like his saying that if you listen to this, your brain might be compromised and full of crap?
I think that is a very fair argument, Phil. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know if they have warning labels on fentanyl, but you're right. You are told everything that's bad for you, you've been told is bad for you forever. Believe you me. You know how many meals I sat down with my mother at McDonald's or Jack in the Box where she told me while I was eating it how bad this is for me? Which, by the way, I'm a kid. You're the ones who took me here. Let's go to Bonta with Bonta Does Best, the cliches.
This bill, this warning label, isn't a panacea. We know that. But it is another tool in our toolbox.
Okay. You know how it's my goal in life to get people to stop using verbal crutches because they're used way too often? You know, the QF, the word that starts with an A. I got a new one. Please, just try. If you see yourself using tool in the toolbox and you are not a carpenter or a construction worker, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Don't say that. Don't say the QF, and don't say...
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's just, we all do it too much, so we should all watch it. That's my goal in life, a warning label for people who use cliched, repetitive speech.
But it is another tool in our toolbox. It's one...
Another one, by the way. And this one goes out to every radio broadcaster I have ever worked with or I ever will work with. All of you have got to figure out a way to change topics when speaking to a guest without saying, well, we're going to shift gears here. Well, we got to change gears on this topic. It is the laziest crutch. Find another way. You got this. I believe in you.
It's one prong in what has to be a multi-pronged
There's one man who is allowed to say shifting gears. That's the motor man.
Continued coordinated effort to address this public health crisis. A continued push to hold social media companies accountable for making their platform safer for children.
Well, I'm convinced Bonta's going to save your kids or move to Australia and then they can't use it. Thank you all so much for listening to this show. It is such a pleasure to do this for you every single day. I have a blast doing it. If you've ever missed any episode of the show, like our super fun happy hour Fridays, we did a great one the Wednesday before Thanksgiving where we talked about the best fast food in SoCal because some stupid website said it wasn't in and out. Check it out. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.